Okay, what our goal here is that when we hover over our member cards here, we also want to show some buttons so that they can interact. And we want a button to go to a user's profile. We want a button so that another user can like another user. And we also want a button that will take us to messages when we set that up. So what we'll do is we'll head back to the component and we'll go to our member card component once again. And we want these buttons to appear over the image when they hover over the image. So what we'll do is we'll add an unordered list here, and what we'll do is we'll give this a class and we'll say that this is a list-inline, and then we'll specify these are member icons, and this is our own class that we'll use for styling, and we'll use another class called animate so that we can apply some animation to these. And then we'll specify text-center. And inside this unordered list are going to go list items. And we'll give this a class of list-inline-item. And inside each of these list items is going to go a button. And a button is going to have a class of btn.btn-primary. And inside the button, all we're going to have is icons. So we'll add an icon class and we'll specify the class as FA and FA-user for this one. And then what we'll do is just copy this down 2 more times and I'll start moving things down. So in the second button, we'll keep it as a primary button, but we'll just change the icon and we'll specify the icon here as FA heart so that someone can like another user, and in the third button we'll specify FA-envelope, and this is eventually going to take them to their messages. So if we take a look at our progress, we can see our buttons underneath the images. We've broken our overflow by doing this, but that's fine because we're going to fix this as we go along. So what we'll do is we'll go and give this some styling, and we'll go back to our CSS again. And what we're doing here is we're going to use our card image wrapper, and in our member card component, what our goal is here is to absolutely position what's inside our unordered list. And in order to absolutely position something, we need to target or position against a relative element. So we're going to make our card image wrapper relative, and then we're going to absolutely position the buttons here. So we'll go back to our member card, and inside our card image wrapper we'll give it a position of relative, and then what we'll do is we'll style our member icons. So we'll say member-icons, and we'll give it a position of absolute. We'll specify the bottom property, and its starting position is going to be -30%. We'll say left is 0, and we'll say right is 0, and then we'll say margin right is auto, and we'll do the same for margin left and set this to auto as well, and we'll set the opacity initially to 0 because they're going to be hidden initially. And then what we'll do is we'll target the card image wrapper again, and this time we'll go for the hover property, and we want to specify this is just for our member icons, and we'll specify bottom is 0 and opacity is 1. So when we hover over the card, then we're going to see the buttons. If we're not hovering, then we're not going to see the buttons. And if we go and take a look at our progress, then what we should find is that we see the buttons as we hover over the images, and they're in the correct position. So what we also want to do is animate lat low. So what we can do is specify .animate, which is the class that we provided to our buttons. And what we can use here is say transition, and then we can say all, and we'll just say 0.3 seconds. And we'll use the ease in and out for this one. And if we go take a look, what we should find is that when we hover over the images now, the buttons animate up. And that's the effects that we're looking for in this case. So what we'll take a look at next is, instead of doing what we did in our member service, which was to manually add the token so that we could send it up with our request, is we're going to take a look at using an interceptor to do that instead. And we'll take a look at that next.